North Korea is believed to have tested what may be its most powerful nuclear weapon to date. Today, President Obama's defense chief said the international community must redouble the pressure on North Korea to halt its nuclear program. Chief Washington correspondent James Rosen is monitoring reaction tonight from the State Department.
North Korea's state-run media said the country's second nuclear test this year, its fifth overall, was successful, with scientists having standardized a nuclear warhead that can be mounted on ballistic missiles. In Seoul, South Korea's president, fresh off the phone with President Obama, warned the nuclear threat from the north is real and imminent.
And we should view as out of control the mental status of Kim Jong-un, who refuses to listen to anything from the international community and neighboring countries in order to maintain his power.
Senior Pentagon and State Department officials were also in Seoul, while Secretary of State Kerry was in Geneva trying to negotiate a Syrian ceasefire with Russia's foreign minister.
China, Russia, the United States, everybody shares concerns, but we're trying still to monitor to find out precisely what took place.
We are committed to making sure that the sanctions that we have in place are implemented and enforced.
South Korean defense officials said the blast was the North's largest, with a force equivalent to 10 kilotons of TNT. By comparison, the atomic bomb the United States dropped on Hiroshima had a yield of 15 kilotons. To collect environmental samples for radiation testing, the Pentagon sent a WC-135 surveillance plane to the region. But early assessments suggest the device featured a uranium core, which, if true, would mean the impoverished, heavily sanctioned North is far along on both of the known pathways to a nuclear weapon, uranium and plutonium.
I do not simply understand why they are continuing like this way.
The UN Security Council swiftly scheduled a closed-door emergency session, but the North's patron, China, wields veto power there and only fitfully pressures its client state to curb its nuclear ambitions. Indeed, a top North Korean nuclear official, Cho Son-hui, visited Beijing Wednesday, and analysts doubt the test would have gone off if she had received a genuine warning from the Chinese.
The North Koreans, I think, got a big green light, and it also says that the fundamental assumption of American foreign policy towards North Korea is wrong. China is not on our side. China is actively working to help the North Koreans.
Now, we are keeping an eye on that emergency closed-door session of the UN Security Council up in New York. So far, nothing has come from it. The smart money holds that if anything were to come from it, at least today, the most that would be a statement of some measure of severity. As for the imposition of still more sanctions on North Korea, that would take more time if it ever comes to pass. Brett?
James, we're getting breaking news out of Geneva. Secretary Kerry meeting with the Russian counterpart Lavrov, saying that there has been the beginning of a deal being struck on Syria. And we're just getting word as they're just talking about it. I know you don't have details as it's happening, but how significant is that, and what are the questions that remain about the ability to enforce something that is put together in Geneva?
That is the key question, the ability to enforce this, whether the Syrians would stick to it, and frankly, whether the loosely affiliated group that we call the Syrian rebels, which includes some terrorist elements as well, would stick to it. But this is the product of some very intensive negotiations between Secretary Kerry and Foreign Minister Lavrov in Geneva over the past 36 hours or so. At one point, the text went back to capitals, and according to the Russian side of things, they waited 5 hours for the White House to make some kind of decision. Apparently, that has reached Geneva now.
Yeah, we're just getting word from the wires that Secretary Kerry says there is, if there is a sustained reduction in violence, Russia and the U.S. will work together to develop a military plan against the Nusra Front. And we should point out the Nusra Front are the terrorist, radicalized elements of on the ground in Syria.
That's right, and in fact, they are a former affiliate of al-Qaeda. So it's going to be a very long road for Syria, even if we do get some cessation of hostilities that allows the humanitarian aid to start flowing once again.
James Rosen at the State Department with breaking news out of Geneva. James, as always, thank you.